What should I name this video? I guess we'll be talking about the state of competitive Pokemon, where it leads in the future, and its current state. I just want to talk about it for a little bit because I've been playing the game um, for about 13 years now. And this video is actually to give you guys an introduction of who I am, the history of Pokemon, why I love it, why I play, just so y'all can get to know your boy. You know what I mean? I'm gonna only make this video once, so yeah, let's get into it. So I started playing Pokemon back in the summer of 2012. I was a I was a jit, you know, back in high school, freshman in high school, and my friends used to play it, and I never played it. Like I just never was into turn-based games. I thought they were boring, and they finally convinced me and my brother to get us DS, and we got Black and White, the first ones, and had our first battle with each other on the back porch, and I was in love ever since. So that brings us here now, 13 years later. I am now a 27, going on 28-year-old man, and I still love it just as much as I did in high school. And that being said, I've played through 6 generations straight. Generation 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I meant 5. I'm gonna count. I'm gonna say 6 anyway, cause I'm gonna count champions, cause it's a whole different type of game competitively, but it's definitely not the mainline generation. So um, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but anyway, uh, that being said, man, playing through 5 generations straight, I have seen the game transition from um, what it was to what it is now, and um, the future of Pokemon is both concerning and bright at the same time. And by bright, I mean very bright. So let's start with the old ways of competitive Pokemon. So the battling back then was more relied on pure strategy, right? You know, you build a good team, half bulk, half off. Wow, this game was over fast. I thought it would be much longer than that. That game was extremely fast. Let me try to find a different replay. That was extremely fast. I'm getting exposed here. You guys seen on my tabs and Jesus Christ. Anyways, with the game changing as much as it did, I mean, like I said, the game was relied on, good team building, hazards, this and that. And coming into Gen 5, I came into a reckless gen. And what I mean by that, it was like at the peak of power creep before gimmicks or mechanics to the game. If you guys get what I'm saying. Like Pokemon reached their peak and just how strong they was. Cause look at all the mons in Gen 5. I mean, you got the video is going horribly, man. You got mons like Excadrill with base 135, Volcarona base 135 special, Darmanitan base 140, Conkeldurr base 140. Just all these real strong mons that popped out from left and right. Not to mention bulky mons like um, Ferrothorn with a built-in Rocky Helmet as an ability, and Iron Barbs. Garchomp was pretty prevalent. I came in when the generation was just insane, right? And I feel like I came in the best time because I got a taste of what I got the last bit of taste of what actual battling was, or was what it was up until that point. And transitioning into Generation 6, man, it was a big turning point because Generation 6 came with so much. It was the first 3D model mainline game, new typing, new entry hazards, sticky web, all that. I don't even have to go into the details, but I had to adjust quickly with that, and I feel even more sorry for people who were used to who played since Generation 1 and Generation 2, or since the early gens, and had to adapt to this whole new mechanic. I don't think anyone was really complaining. Generation 6 was probably the funnest generation for me, and I think honestly, Pokemon was at its peak at that time. Um, so that being said, Mega Evolutions was the thing, right? Now you got this mechanic where you get to boost your Mon's stats with the Mega Stone. Our favorite Mon, some of our favorite Mons got Megas, and it warped the game around not building around strategy or just Mons coming together in synergy, but you know you always want your team to have chemistry. God damn, these battles are fast. I'm gonna just replay it and whatever. These Mons coming together in synergy and working together, but now you got to do that plus make the gimmick work. You build around this Mega Pokemon and you go from there. So that alone changed the way that you team build. Um, Instead of relying on cores, you still relied on cores, of course, but your main goal was to build around the Mega of your choosing. Like for example, um, Charizard Y. You know, if you want to build around that, you know, you want to make it the whole team's a Sun team. That one's too bland. That one's too. Let's do Mega Metagross. You know, you want to make sure he's protected and make sure he could get off. Probably set up Sticky Web so he could be faster than everything. Um, have some bulky water types to surround it. Rapid spinners to protect it from spikes, all that shit. Couple flying types, some levitates, Mega Metagross and Rotom was actually a very good pairing back in the day. But you think with all the crazy changes that happened in Gen 6 that the Game Freak would have ended there. Okay, this is a thing now, Megas. And eventually some new gimmick would come down the line. But they did it every generation. So now, moving into Generation 7, we still got Megas, but we also got Z moves. And Z moves was a big thing. It was another surprise factor. And Generation 8, you got Dynamax, which was fucking crazy. Generation 9, Terra, and blah, 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 so on and so forth, right? So I say all that to say that the future of this game is looking dastardly because with the mechanics, you pay so much attention to the mechanic. That's the thing. No one really cares about the main line. For competitive, the gimmicks are cool. For the main line and for all else, it's kind of dry because they stopped caring about everything else and heavily relied too much on mechanics for the games. And that's the whole point of this video. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get to that. There's a whole lot of nothing in there, but I just wanted to throw in, you know, the history of how I got into it and whatever. So that being said, they stopped caring about the storylines, the even the graphics. I mean, let's be honest. Even in Generation 9, they just like, look, we got this very cool new mechanic, right? Very cool. You could now change the type of your Pokemon mid battle anytime you want, and it could gain that same type stab move with Terra Blast. So now it has that stab move of its typing, and that's cool and all. Look at this, but do not pay attention to everything else because the graphics in the Scarlet Violet are interesting to say the least. And the storyline is almost non-existent. Like, what are we doing? Do you want to hunt down Paradox Pokemon? Do you want to go to Blueberry Academy or whatever the fuck? Where's the actual like bosses trying to that had purpose, that had meaning, where everything? Where's the super creativity in every map and terrain? You know, I get that. You know, the open world thing with Legends Arceus was a big hit. You know, but they actually put effort into the game. They can't afford to make more mainline games that are open world and slack heavily like they did with fucking Scarlet and Violet and even Legends EA. Legends EA, that shit doesn't look that exciting to watch. You know, I like watching the ranked battles, but I mean, okay, you just run around this big ass city all day and sneaking up on people. Like, okay, what's next? Pokemon games nowadays are missing that depth, which is why I personally don't play the mainline games no more. You know, I love the main story just as much as I love the competitive aspect. You know, at least back then. But it seemed like they stopped caring after Generation 6, maybe 7. 7 was a good mainline game as well. Generation 8 was kind of rushed. All the gym leaders were the same. So that's the bad part. And with Generation 10, we got glimpses. It's definitely going to be open world, higher graphics. But what would save this franchise, um, and I don't mean save as in like it's dying or anything, but what would make it always have that spark and just make it so much more anticipated? Because now we already know. Do you guys really? What do you anticipate more when you think about a new Pokemon game coming out? The mechanic or the actual story? You know, be honest with me, because I mean, I like how I paused, like I was gonna get like this Blues Clues, like you guys are gonna answer at this screen. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm hungry as well. I didn't have anything to eat. Um, but it's no real effort in you just want to see the new Pokemon, the new stats, and play competitively, and that's cool. That's always what it's been. But the story is a big part of the game, man. The story is what makes the game. The story is what sells. And get holds. It really sets that generation like, yo, this is the generation where we had to fight team so and so, and this story was crazy, and it was in this generation with all this shit. But now you just look at, yo, this generation had this mechanic, this generation had this mechanic, and that's kind of bland. I'm all for mechanics, but let's not let's make the mechanics have more depth. You know what I mean? Don't make it so accessible. You know what I mean? As well. Generation 6 was perfect because it was so fresh and new, and it was limited. You know what I mean? So they could get away with having a great storyline and the mechanic being there. As part of the storyline instead of the storyline being part of the mechanic, barely being part of the mechanic. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, that's just it. I just think the future of the storyline games, of the storyline aspect of Pokemon is kind of in jeopardy, at least for a while, because Game Freak is super fixed on mechanics and the competitive aspect, which is, I get it, is cool, and I think they understand that they have a growing fan base. So that's why we got games like Champions and this and that. Like they got people like me who just want to play competitively, and but that doesn't mean we don't care about the games themselves. We still buy the consoles. We still love Pokemon in its entirety. There's still some Pokemon that I love, not because of their competitive viability, but because of their design or how they look or what they are, or their Pokedex entry or how they were in the TV show. It's all one thing, is what I'm saying. So, and the story is a big part of it, and it should the Game Freak shouldn't ignore that from here on out. They should take it just as much as serious as the mainline game. I mean, as a competitive aspect, because they've been doing their thing in that one. I'm not gonna lie, and yeah, just be more creative, man. Like they also a lot of creativity, even in Generation 9. Like that, I'm gonna be honest. Generation 9 probably has some of the worst designs outside the Paradox Pokemon. Outside because the Paradox monster is just a recreation of old designs, which is always gonna work. Um, but a lot of like Arboliva, what is that, man? A fucking twig, a fig bush, twig bush. What is that? Then you got flamingo, which is literally a flamingo. Like, come on, guys. Like, we need to be they need to expand on their creativity. Because I feel like they slacked. Just because they were so obsessed with these mechanics and shit. So yeah, the mechanic is killing the creativity aspect. I hope they just find a balance, and that's it, man. It's your boy TKK, and I'm out. Let me know what you all think, by the way, in the comment section down below. If anybody comes across this video, please let me know what you think. And I'm out. Peace.